Hello and welcome to our webinar. Today is part 2 of this Masterclass webinar. Part 1 was completed the previous week, so we encourage you to go and watch it. But before I give you more details of what the topics are of this part, and we will discuss today, let me introduce myself. I'm Irini, Customer Enablement Consultant, but I'm not here alone today. Another face familiar to you is here joining me, my good colleague Theo.
Hi everyone, I'm Theo and I'm very happy to share with you the second part of our masterclass and of course answer your questions live.
Thank you, Theo. And with that said, let's see what this masterclass is about. In our previous session, we mentioned that March will be a masterclass month in course creation. In part 1 of this masterclass, we talked about course settings that both admins and instructors can change, unit and overall course completion settings, as well as the talent craft. In this part, we'll focus on the course delivery, showcasing settings and features that we believe will enhance your learners' engagement. If you didn't attend part 1, no worries. The link will be posted here on the chat, so you can definitely visit and rewatch it. So let's check the agenda for us. Again, we have decided to present these features and settings by sections. So we'll discuss the settings that are related directly to our units and content area, those that will help us manage users and their progress within a course, and the ones related to learning paths. Of course, before we move on here, just a reminder, this webinar is recorded and it will be sent to you all by email once it's over, so feel free to share it. And a live Q&A will take place during our session. Our own Anastasia will be answering all your questions in the background, and some of them will also be answered by us live. So feel free to use the Q&A button in order to answer your questions. You can find it at your meeting controls on your screen. So let's get started. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass the mic to Theo. Theo, what do you have for us today?
Hi everyone again, there's a lot to share with you today. So first, let me share my screen right here. And I hope that you can see it. There we have it. So what you already see is that I am logged in as an instructor in TalentLMS. And of course, it's all about course settings today as well. So instructor is the protagonist of the session. Now, the very first thing that I want to share with you is a feature and a setting, therefore, that you can use to boost engagement of users with each other and, of course, with your course. I'm talking about discussions. Now, you might be wondering, is it specifically related to courses? Not exactly, but it can be if you follow this trick with me. So first of all, what is discussions? Discussions is a forum-like interface that you can find on the right sidebar right here. And this will create an interactive approach within the team so that we learners can talk with each other, they can reply to different topics, offer resources, and at the end of the day, just get to know each other and spend more time in your portal and in the course. For example, you can use discussions as Q&A between users or to answer specific questions or to offer suggestions. But at the same time, you can use it like I have here as a way to introduce each other and get to know each other. So you can create a new topic from there or just open it up right here. And you can create your contents or you can edit an existing discussion as well. You see, you can even just upload images there. And you can offer attachments. And of course, you can control the visibility of the discussion. But at this point, we're not talking about discussions today. We're going to talk about how you can make it part of your course. Of course, the discussion is here to provide a fruitful conversation area. So you can reply specifically to people, or you can just reply to the entire thread and again, offer attachments. But you might reckon that discussions at this point are just on the sidebar. Would your learners easily go out of a course, go back to the sidebar, participate in the discussion, and then come back? Maybe, but why not to make it a bit more accessible to them? So what I'm going to do here, you see, on top of the discussion has a URL, a link, right? So I'm going to copy that and then go back to a course. For example, I'm going to go to this one, engaging remote teams, and the units that you need to use in order to embed the discussion into your content, you can just add an iframe. If I'm going to click on that, I can just give it a name. So let's call it group chat, for instance, and then I can place here the URL and embed, and that is the URL of my discussion. So now one thing remains, just save and view. So what happens is the course is in progress, and then at the end of the day, you see the group chat right here as part of the course, and people will be able to, of course, reply and use the discussion as they would if that would be just on the sidebar. I'm going to give you another tip right here. Let's go back to the course. You can always click on the title of the course to go back. And you see that this is all the way at the end, right? That's an introductory discussion. So what's the point of being at the end? I'm going to click reorder right there, and then just click on it and bring it all the way up to the point that I want this to be. You see, I've just added onto my introduction right there. Click reorder again to lock your changes, and that's it. Now, the user, if I go to view as learner, they start with viewing the first thing, the introduction point, the discussion. They can introduce themselves, complete and continue, and then go to the next part of the course. So that's one tip from me today. Let's see something different. What if you would like to personalize the content a little bit more? For example, it's always good to have an introduction to the user, call them by their first name, and generally just use a more personalized approach, because that way the learner will think, and of course we want you to make that as well, they will think that the training will be made for them specifically and not just another course that would be hello friend. Why not be hello Rini, hello John, hello Mary, and see their first name and engage more? That's what we're going to do. So again, I'm going to switch here to instructor. I was previewing the course as a learner. That's why I got left there. And I'm going to go right here again to the same course, engaging remote teams. Now, I'm going to add a content unit. And of course, that can work in other types of units as well. So what we'll do is we're going to just call it instructions. And of course, you can add more instructions about how somebody can navigate the course or anything you want to share with them just at the beginning. But first, I'm going to call them by their name. The quickest and easiest way to do that is to use the smart tags that you see here. So click on that, and you see you have lots of options: the username, first name, last name, dates, course details, and more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say first name. So that's going to be hi, Irini, if Irini was my learner. And then, of course, this course is about the standard compliance training, for instance. And of course, you can add more content and you can add more details as we go. Have a look at the different smart tags and see what else you can try. And of course, you have lots and lots of different options. And one tip to remind you here is, if you are familiar with the custom user fields, you will see those being parts of your smart tags right there as well. So just think about it, and that is something that you can always create in your account settings as an admin, and then see them in the smart tags option and use them accordingly as well. So that's going to be Hirini here, save. And if I view it, of course, you will see that this is Hi Theo, because Irini is not viewing the course, I'm viewing it, so that's the personalization. Now, another thing as well. One of the very, very important features about training is collecting feedback. And collecting feedback doesn't only comes in casual conversations that we might have or informal HR surveys that every company usually sends out. We can specify what we want them to provide feedback on the training, and that can be done within TalentLMS. You don't have to rely on another survey provider for training for training feedback, because we can build one right here. So this is different from the usual company-wide feedback surveys that they send, because we're going to talk about the training inside the product that you use to create a training. So let's go to add the units, and that will be a survey unit. And we're not only going to see that type of unit, but we'll see also the different options and the different ways that you can use it. So I'm going to call mine training feedback. I know that's not very original, isn't it? So you have the training feedback survey here. You can use a couple of questions that you might have used in other surveys, or you can create your questions from scratch. So I'm going to create a multiple choice here, and I'm going to add my text. So that could be, for example, how many years are you with this department? And of course, you can provide your answer 1 to 3. or that can be, for instance, 4 to 6, and so on and so forth. Of course, you can choose people to only answer with one option, which in this case makes sense. But of course, you can have more if you want them to have more answers based on the type of question, of course. So for this one, I'm going to just add one. Save. And then you have the option to add free text question. We can create one right now, or we can reuse one that we've created before. So I'm going to go and add this question right here, which I used in another survey. You can hover, you can preview, for instance, that's what it would look like, and people can provide text here as a reply, or you can hover and you can edit. And again, it's exactly the same thing. You just provide your question, and again, might be smart tag as well, and then just save, and that would be added into your survey. Now, one more type of questions, and that is something that you have asked for. It's one of the most popular feature requests we got a couple of time ago, and this is something that we introduced, the Likert type of questions. So in this case, I'm going to add one right there, or again, you can just click and add your question from scratch. But let's go back, and if you click on the step before on the navigation bar, you will be able to just go one step back. So here I can hover, edit, and let's explore together how the Likert style questions are. Here you can add your topic. So this is about the resources of the training provided. And then you can add your questions. You can have more questions if you want. And you can customize the answers. For instance, that can be level of agreement, from strongly disagree to strongly agree, or satisfaction, very dissatisfied to very satisfied. Level of quality, as you can see, from bad to good. Likelihood, from unlikely to very likely. And frequency, from never to always. Or you can have a completely custom scale and you can create your own. So you can add, for instance, where the resources in you to understand, no, throw them away, so you can make it more fun. Where the resource accessible for people on mobile, of course, you can create something like that. I'm going to keep it standard here, and I'm going to do level of agreements, and of course, save. So the options before we go and preview what we've done. You have the option to show answers after completion, which is a great thing to do, because at the end of the day, you want people to reflect on what they've written. Would it be too late after they've written it? Maybe, but you can always reset the survey if they need to change anything. Or it's always a good idea for them to see on paper what they've done. And you have the option to do not continue until an answer is chosen, so you ensure that everybody answers every single question. And of course, you might want to write a nice message here, so feedback is free and much appreciated. And of course, I can always correct what I've written because spelling is not my forte. So save, and let's see what we've done. So somebody would go through the course as you follow through here, and feedback is free and much appreciated. Start survey, and you can say how many years you're with this department. I'm exactly 4 years, so I'm going to answer honestly here, submit. And then what did you love? Any suggestions? Loved the pace. Please improve maybe the languages offered. So that way you can have, of course, more options in language so people can see it in their own native language. Submit. Now, this is the Likert type of question. Remember, we have the topic on top and question number 1, question number 2. So where the resources easy to understand, I made the training, I'm going to say yes. Where the resource is accessible for people on mobile, I'm going to say agree, because it depends again on lots of different parameters. So submit, and remember the reflection that I said we can see. That is how we can see what we have written. And that's how you create a survey to gather feedback for the training from the people who actually took the training. You don't have to rely in any other person to distribute the feedback survey. You can do it yourself within the portal. Now, another thing as well. You might have seen that my course is divided in different chapters, sections, as we call them here, and that there is a timestamp next to each section. So let's talk about it. What are the sections? The sections are ways to divide your course into different sections or chapters, so that way if visually it is more clear to understand what each set of units would entail. For example, you see the introduction here, the live training is here, the advanced training, essentials, evaluation, and of course, the survey. How can you create them? You can add a section right here. And I can go all the way down and find it up to there and change name. And I can call this, for example, management, for example, resources, and then save my section. But of course, it doesn't have to sit down there, right? Click on reorder and I can drag it and I can just get it up to this part. You see, it has sits nicely there and I can just click reorder to make everything permanent. And what you can always do is you can always transfer and change the order of an entire section and the units within that section. For example, you see here, essentials should not be below advanced, right? Doesn't make sense. Essentials go first, advanced go second. So reorder, tick, you hover, tick the entire box, and you see that your units are ticked. Of course, you can always just remove it and only keep the units that you want, or just stick with your plan and select everything. And I can just go up here, just above advanced, place it, reorder, and now I have changed my entire sections as it is. Or you can change units from one section to another. So reorder again, instructions should go on top. So all the way to the top under my introduction. Save your options, and that's what it is right now. Now, what happens with the timestamp that you see right here? This is called delayed availability. You see, when I hover onto a section, you see delay availability is visible there. What does it mean? It will allow you to set the time or the days maybe. I'm going to say just the time, but I'm going to do, for instance, 2 hours or maybe half an hour, just half an hour, and save my delay right there. Now, this will ensure that people will still see your sections and your units, but they cannot click and interact with them, which means that they will not be able to just go and click on the Meet Your Instructor unit if 30 minutes have not passed from the time that they got enrolled into the course. Now, why this is useful? This is useful because you might have people that are eager to complete the training without really taking the time that it is appreciated to take the training. For example, I remember myself when I was newly hired 4 years ago, I wanted to prove that I'm the right person for the job and I could learn fast and really keep information. What did I done? A little mistake for all new hires. I jumped straight into training, completed everything in 2 days or 3 days. I don't even remember now. But then all of that training that I completed did not stick with me because it was supposed to be completed within a week. So wanted to prove that I was the right fit for the job, then I missed a big training opportunity to take things at my own pace and in the pace that they're supposed to be taken, and rush through without really having, a lot of thought behind it. So I had to redo it again. So that is what you safeguard. You safeguard people from going through the training without allocating the right time. Because if, as a learner, I see that my section here, for instance, is not available yet when I click complete, that means that I need to go back and spend more time. And it's okay to spend more time because that will allow me to just go through the training as needed. Just a tip there, try that, use it, and I'm pretty sure that it will be a good trick for your new hires to take a breath and understand that they're supposed to spend 5 hours here because that's what is anticipated for the content of the training. Final tip from me, and then I'm pretty sure that we will have a couple of questions coming up. So I'm going to go to the onboarding hybrid hires right here. I'm going to change a course now. And some of the use cases that we've seen in TalentLMS are about selling courses. But not only selling courses, but also sampling courses that you might want to offer to distributors, to customers, to vendors, and you don't want them to go through the entire content already, just see a couple of samples. Or especially when you go and sell your courses, you might have a teaser for people to go and purchase your course. How can we do that? First of all, we need to make the units visible externally as samples. So you can hover, for instance, I can hover on this presentation and click here, sample. You see, this has now turned green. What does that mean? If I go onto an incognito browser where I'm not logged in, so I'm going to open up right now, and I'm going to open the portal right here. I don't need to log in, right? Because let's say I'm a prospective customer. So that way I will go and see what courses you have. And if I like them, I will purchase and create my account. So you can go to the course catalog right here, and you can find that course. For instance, for me, that was onboarding hybrid hires, if I remember correctly. So I can click on that. And you see here, it is called sample as a tag. So I can click on it, and I will open that specific unit that you made a sample. Can I go to get this course? No, because it will ask me to log in. And of course, if you sell the courses, they will be able to be purchased and then log in. But now I clicked on the sample here, and I can see just that specific sample unit. If I like it, I'm going to go buy it. If I'm not, well, I'm pretty sure that your training will be appealing, especially if you create it with all of the tips and features that we have suggested within those masterclasses. But the point is that you have the option to offer specific units as samples, so that way you don't have to really go back and share the entire course. Now, another thing as well. What if you would like to share the entire course, not just a unit? So I'm going to just go and mark this not a sample. So toggle a sample switch, go to the three dots here and make course public. You see that there is a quick and easy link that you can copy now. So what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that you can always go to, again, an incognito browser or just share it with your peers, and they will be able to see the entire course. So not just the unit that we declared a sample, but the entire course. So they can go through every single one. You see, I can go into the video, I can watch it, and I can go into the next and the next and the next. What happens here? If you have a public course, they can just go and take the course and then leave, which means that they will not log in, they will not register, and you will not have any data of them completing the course. So is that important for you to have data? That's fine. Then just make a couple of units sample, and then if they like it, they will get into the portal and take it. If you don't mind about data and that is just an entire course you want to give away to people and then maybe make a deal with them of selling your courses, then you can just give the entire course public, and only if they want, they can register, and then you keep the data. So that's totally up to you. But these are two ways that you can make your courses shareable and visible, or part of your courses, just a couple of units, if you want to demonstrate or offer specific things to your audience. I hope that helps. And I know that there's a lot of questions coming up. So Irini, what you have for me?
I have one question that it's really interesting. It's from an anonymous attendee. It says, I have videos in some courses that are not relevant anymore, but I don't want to delete them because they might come handy later. Can I hide them from learners?
Yes, absolutely. So let me show you how you can do that. So if you look again at my screen, you see that actually I have a video right here, which might be redundant right now. So I can hover right there, and then I can deactivate. What's the difference? You see, it became red. What is the difference? It is just a way for you to make it invisible. Is it deleted? No, because you can always go back and you can activate it, and it can be still part of the course. Or deactivate it, and if I go to view it as a learner now, you will see my slides, and then I can go to the next part, and the next part is the test. Was there a video in between? It was, but we deactivated, so the learners will not be able to see it, and that will allow you to just deactivate the old unit. And of course, if you want, just again, as an instructor, go back and upload another unit or add something different that you would like. It's a good idea to deactivate and not completely delete content, because if you delete it, it's gone. You have to re-upload it again. And if you deactivate it still, you can use it in another course and activate it in that course. So you can move things around with the deactivation and make them invisible instead of losing them and re-uploading them again.
Thank you, Theo. So that was a really quick Q&A break. So I think it's time for us to move on to the second section, let's say. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. I hope that you all see my screen right now. And I'm going to use this course so we can start our own discussion. So I'm just going to click edit. And I'm talking about the sidebar here. On part one, we've seen about the rules and path and how we can customize settings about the overall course completion. But now I'm going to take you here to users in progress, because as you already know, instructors are responsible for the course creation and updating the courses and add content, but they can also affect the progress of the users. So from the course users, an instructor can see all the users that have been assigned to this course and the exact role they have for this course. Now, for the learners, we have a couple of options that we can definitely do to affect their progress. For example, let's use Sasa here. If I click the Not Started button here, I can start completing the units of this course one by one on her behalf, like this, and affect the progress. So if I click the X button here, you see that now Sasa is on 50%. What if I want to complete the entire course for Sasa? Well, I will click this tick button here, set up a completion date, let's say for the 20th of March, click the complete button, and that's it. Now, Sasa is considered as a completed user for this course. Now, in cases where I have the certificate attached in this course, I can definitely preview it from here. And of course, there's another button here because we all might make a mistake and complete courses by mistake. We can always revert that by clicking the reset button. And if I click it, I can reset the progress, but I can also reset and remove the certificate. So I'm just going to click it like this. Now, what if you have added more units in the course? Well, if a user is currently in progress, they will be able to see them. But what if we have users that have already completed the course, but you want these units to be completed as well? Well, in this case, all we have to do is just sync the users with the current status of this course by clicking this button here. So for the completed users, the percentage of completion will drop, the course will show up again on their dashboards, and now they need to complete the additional units. And of course, for these two buttons, the reset and the synchronize button, we also have the buttons here on the top so you can perform these actions en masse and save time. Last thing from here, this little calendar. We've seen from part one that we can add expiration dates to our courses. But what if we want to do some sort of exceptions, let's say? What if we have current users that they cannot complete the course on the deadline we have set, or maybe we have users that have the course has been expired for them, but we want to give them a second chance without affecting the general expiration date. Well, by clicking this little calendar here, we can set up customized expiration dates. So for Sasa, she's not obligated to fulfill the 31st of March, but I can set up another expiration date, let's say the 10th of April. Everybody will need to follow the general expiration date, apart from Sasa, who has her own. Now, if I want to add more users in the course, the enroll button here will allow me to check all the available users that I have. And by clicking the plus button one by one, I can add users one by one in this course. And I can also see the exact role they have. As we mentioned in part one, when we add instructors in our courses, we're basically giving them edit rights. Therefore, no matter how many times they will complete the course, nothing will show up on the reports because they remain the instructors for this course. But I have a scenario here for you. What if I have courses that have been created for my instructors and my administrators, and I want to have their progress on their reports? What can I do about that? Well, what I can do is change the role they have for those particular courses. It's not mandatory for me to change the entire user type. I can simply change the role they have for these certain courses. And if I click the course and visit the setting course page by clicking the edit course button and go here, you might have noticed this little arrow right next to the instructor role. For example, Danny here is an admin. By the time I added Danny in this course, they have edit rights. Danny has edit rights, so he's the instructor for this course. If I click this arrow, the learner option is now available. So I can click it and turn Danny into a learner just for this course. Danny can log in into the system. He can perform his administrator tasks, but when it comes into this certain course, when Danny completes it, then I will have Danny's progress in my reports. And even if I change him back as an instructor, the progress will remain in my reports. Theo will be adding a link of a very interesting webinar we've done in the past. It's called Wearing Different User Hats in TalentLMS, where we discuss how we can have different roles within TalentLMS and keeping our original user types. And with that said, since I'm already in this course, I'm going to take you back. So let me just go again into the site settings. And I'm going to take you back into the rules and path so we can now discuss about the learning paths. In part one, we have discussed about the units and the course completion and the score calculation, but there's also this little option here that will allow me to create a learning path. If you have courses and you want to create a sequence within those courses, then you can use this field here and start adding your courses one by one. These courses now are the prerequisites of the course we're currently working with. I have created a sequence between these two courses, and it's mandatory for the learner to complete this one before they will end up in this one. It's not possible for them to skip the prerequisites. They need to complete them in order. And when it comes into prerequisites, I can add more than one, of course, or I can add an alternative path. If you have the course catalog open for the learners and you want to give them a little bit of freedom of selecting the path they want to follow so they will end up in this course, just click here and add alternative paths. Randomly, I'm just adding a combo of courses here. When it comes into creating learning paths, you can add up to 4 different learning paths. I'm just going to delete that for now, leave it as it is, click the Save button. And of course, this is an information that will be visible on the course setting page. And just to give you a heads up of how this will look like for a simple learner, I have already logged in as Pacify, and let me refresh. So now Pacify has been assigned in this course. So if I click it, you can see that she has that information that she cannot access this course until we complete the prerequisites. And the prerequisite section is here, notifying her of what she needs to complete first. Now, since I'm talking about learning paths, another way that we can create a learning path, which is really fun and it is related to the gamification. We'll discuss about levels here. So I'm going to switch as an admin really quick and get into the gamification. The gamification, apart from points and badges, and the leaderboard, of course, works also with points. So from here, you can set up the gamification in a way that your users will upgrade levels by earning a specific amount of points, let's say 2,000 points, or by completing a number of courses, or by getting a number of badges. If you click the Save button here, the users will upgrade in levels by following these rules here. And if I change back as an instructor, again, I will use the exact same course and click the Edit Course button to access the course setting page. If I remember correctly, that was a question that was asked on part 1, but let's repeat that. We're talking about the levels here. So from here, I will add level 2 and click Update Course. So now this course will remain locked for every user that is below level 2. When a user reaches the level 2, then this course will be unlocked and it will be possible for them to complete the training. Just a note here, when it comes into levels, the maximum number of levels that you can assign into courses is the number 20. So just a small tip when it comes into working with levels. And with that said, Theo, I think that it's time that we can move on into our Q&A. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I have. So let me share one. The first one is from Andreas. So First of all, thank you, Andres, for being part of the webinars. And then the question is, why is there a smart tag named manager? How do I figure out managers of users? Could you help?
Yes, I think that you're talking about the smart tags that you've seen when Theo demonstrated how we can add smart tags in on the text that we can add above the units. Well, this is a custom user field that we have created in the system. So I'm just gonna turn really quick as an admin and go to the account and settings. In Talent LMS, we're using smart tags to help us populate information on certificates, notifications, and on the course content. But if we create custom user fields, and you can find them here all the way down, those custom user fields that will store additional information on user profiles will also create additional smart tags in the system. So we can also populate this information as well. So if you click here, you will see the manager custom user field created here. It's been here in the list. So apart from the user field, the user profile field, you can also find it as a smart tag and use it on your courses. Of course, creating custom user fields are very easy. Just click the add field, give your field a name, select any of the four input methods here. You can also set these fields mandatory, visible on reports, but by the time you create the custom user fields, the respective smart tags are already created in the system. I hope this will help.
Yes, thanks, Irini. And there's another question from Stephen. Can you speak more about discussion access? Can I have different discussion thread for class A and class B taking the course at different times?
Yes, definitely. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a similar question from another user, I think from Rakesh, who is basically asking how we can separate the audience in the discussions. So I'm just going to turn back as an instructor really quick and access the discussions. Now, the first thing is that when we enter the discussions list, you can see labels here. These labels indicate the audience that have access to these discussions. You can create public discussions where everybody will have access to, or you can target the audience of this discussion based on groups or based on courses. So if I click here, let's say the Learner Lounge, for example, let's access this discussion and click the edit button. You can see here the topic, the main content, and from here, I can select the audience. Everybody can see this topic is a public discussion, but if I want to target that, only specific users can see this discussion. And from here, I can select users based on courses or based on groups. So if I go a little bit further down, you can also see that there is a list of groups. So this is how you can create discussion threads based on the groups you have created for certain users. And also, there is a third option here. This is a private topic. This is a discussion that you can create so you can talk with other instructors. Once you create a private topic, only instructors will have access to these discussions. No learners will have access to all this information that you're talking about in case you want to also communicate within Talent LMS. Hit the post button. So just to make this as an example, let's say that I want to create a discussion about the data protection group. I'm going to hit the post. And if I go back to the list of discussions, you can see that now only people that belong to data protection group has access to this discussion and no one else. I hope this help.
Yes, and there's a question from Rakesh, which I think is very similar to what you just answered. So
Yeah.
Rakesh is answering a group discussion, is asking, not answering, we are answering. In case of different audiences, say internal employees and externals, customers, how do we avoid them from chatting with each other? Is there a way, a feature that we can do it? Is it perhaps branches, Irini?
Well, if you work with branches, because when you have people in the same training environment and you create discussions, if you don't target the audience, let's say based on groups or based on courses, yes, they can talk with each other. However, if you have already separated your users within branches, then the people that belong to the branches will have access to discuss with each other, not all the users that you have in your system. If that is the use case, you can send us an email to success@talentlms.com, so we can discuss your exact use case and then come back with you with alternatives that will be tailored according to your needs. But in general, with branches, only people that have access within these branches can talk with each other, unless you also target the audience based on the groups within those branches. Theo, what do you think? Would you like to take over and answer some questions as well?
Yes. Let me jump into the Q&A. I've been answering a couple of questions behind the scenes, and Anastasia has doing a great job as well. So let me just take a question from Rakesh with a different perspective here. So the question is, in case of learning path, when you add a prereq course that becomes compulsory to complete before going ahead to the following course. However, in case of different audience, sometimes the course might not be a prerequisite for all the users. In this case, basically, adding the learning path is forcing learners to take up the course. Is there a way to fix this gap? So if I understand correctly, and I'm just reading it in a flash right here, you want to ensure that different audiences can have different learning paths instead of just having the same learning path for all of the courses, right? So let me share my screen right here, and I'm going to show you the solution. Of course, I hope that this is something that you can also accommodate with your plan, because I'm going to talk about automations. Automations are available on the premium and enterprise plans. But if you don't have that, have a look at this, because this is exactly the solution that might be worth the investment of upgrading your plan. So just to step back for a moment. So what Rakesh is talking here is, when you go into a course, on the right side, you have rules and path, right? And here you can have the learning paths. Yes, you can have one or two courses being the learning path. That would be the learning path number one. And you can have an alternative one with, let's say, those courses, and that would be learning path number two, and you can have a number three. So either to reach this course, either people have to have completed those two, and then they get this one, or they should have completed those two, and then we'll have access to this one. But this is just something that you can do within the specific course. What I'm going to show you now with automations is something that you can do based on where the users are. So if I go to add an automation here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add assignment. So on course assignments, on course completion, assign courses. So when somebody completes, for example, this course, they will be assigned that one. This is the typical automation, right? It's not the learning path. Now we are going to revert that. So I'm going to go here for, let's say, this one, for instance, certificate expiration. So people, they can have, for example, 1 hour after the course certificate expires, reset and assign the different prerequisites from the learning path. So that could be this one, that could be that one, that could be the other one. This is another way as well that you can work with learning paths, in the sense that you can assign different courses to people afterwards, or you can reset different courses from people before. And another thing as well that's I would like to suggest is, again, based on the course completion, assigned courses. That could be, for example, when you complete this course, you can assign this one and that one if the user belongs to specific groups or specific branches. So that would be another way that you could work with different prerequisites or course assignments afterwards. I know that this is not the exact answer that you're looking for, because these are totally different examples from just using the prerequisites, but I just want to invite you to explore the automations and see what other options you can find right here based on the resetting factor, basically, of what you're looking for. What I would suggest as well, send us an email with the examples that you would like to use, and then we can advise on whether automations would work exactly for what you're looking for, or whether the only in-course prerequisites would be the different way to go. So let's see what else we have. So Sorcha has a question. My question is related to adding a survey for learner feedback. If a learner was attending an ILT course taking place on a certain day, which also had a feedback survey attached, is there a way for reminding the users to complete the feedback piece of the course only? I understand from previous communications that the ILT would automatically complete. So Sorcha, the ILT will not automatically complete. You have to grade the users afterwards. So if I'm going to go as an instructor for a quick moment here and go, for instance, in this one, when you have an instructor-led training session, you can have users register, of course, right? You can just register as many as you need, but you would have to grade them. Now, this is not, of course, completed, so you won't be able to just grade them as of now. But essentially, when the ILT passes, you can go here and provide feedback specifically to a user, or you can go to must grade users and give them feedback. So this is only what will allow the ILT users to complete it. Now, what I have for you, I have a notification to remind them of the survey. So I can add a notification here. And because we don't have a notification about surveys, what we're going to do, we're going to add the notification on ILT grading. So when you grade the users of the ILT, because that's what is needed to complete the ILT, they can receive the related users. They can receive a notification. You can create your notification here, and you don't have to have it working for every single course. You can filter and only have it for the courses that you have that survey after the ILT. So that notification can trigger, and of course you can write here, don't forget to complete the survey, and that would be actually the message, the reminder for them to complete the survey. So I hope that's workarounds does the job for you. And another one from Stephen, is there a faster way to add prerequisite courses, or do you really have to go inside each course and add it one by one? That would be inside the course. It's a great suggestion here to suggest to the product team to figure out a way to do it massively, but for now, it is a course by course job. Keith is asking, can we set time options for a branch and not the whole portal? I'm afraid not, because the time options are on a course level, right? Not on a branch level or a group level. Somebody asked for a group level as well. So no, the time options are for a course specifically. And of course, each course can have its own as well. And there is another question as well, and that could be from an anonymous friend. Is there a way to set due dates for courses or assignments? For courses, yes, because if I go as an instructor here, and if I go to edit my course, and on the edit course, yes, the due date practically is a time option. Whether the time limits or the duration, that is a due date. But for assignments, no. What would be the workaround here? To create a course which only contains the assignments, so that way here you would be able to add a due date. However, you can add not due dates, but time to the tests. So if I go to edit a quiz here, you can add, for instance, in the test options, the duration. So if you want it to be an hour, that would be 60 minutes, and so on and so forth. Let's see another one as well. Wolf is asking, do you have recommendations how to handle courses that are offered in different languages? Depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking recommendations about how to distribute it to users? My suggestion would be to create branches based on the language of the users. So German branch, French branch, Spanish branch with the related courses. Or are you talking about maybe courses that you want to offer in different languages, but to your entire, let's say, internal people, so you don't need branches? Groups. You can create a group, you can put the courses and the related users in the group and have it by groups. So there's lots of things, but again, we have to know what you want to do with it. So if you want, send us an email with your use case at success@talentlms.com and we'll advise that. Let's see what else we have. Mariam joined a little late. No worries at all. We're glad to have you here, and you will receive the recording anyway, so you can catch up on what you would actually miss. Karen is asking, is there a way to automatically send to each user after every course they take? Yes, notifications, but what do you want to send to every user after they take a course? Is it a notification about completing it? Yes, we can. We can have here, for instance, on course completion. Is it something different? Let me know a little bit more. Again, success@talentlms.com, and I'll give you the right notifications there. Training survey, you're asking, Karen. Okay, so To send a training survey, what I would suggest is to create an entire course, which could be called training feedback, something I wrote to somebody else as well in the chat. Training feedback would be the name of the course. And then, of course, you can assign that course at the end of your learning path, or you can just have this course available and then just prompt the users to go and take it from the catalog. Let's see, another question from Rakesh. In case of linking units, can it be marked as complete in all the places it is linked? Because every time the learner is asked to complete the same units, even when it's linked from another course, which is not ideal, and they might have already completed. No, it's not, I'm afraid, because the fact that you link the courses doesn't link the progress of the courses. So you link the units, but at the end of the day, it is just the way for you as an instructor to make creating course more efficient and quicker. So you cannot link the progress of the user. Now, what I would recommend in this case, if many users have to take the same part of the course in different types of courses, create a course, just call it introductory training or mandatory or whatever, put that type of unit in there. So everybody who has completed that, they don't have to go into other types of courses and still encounter the same content. So that could be a suggestion. Right, so let's talk about Nathan's questions. Is there a way to protect public courses with a password? Say, before we add someone to the system, we can send them a quick course to take to make sure they understand the preliminaries and then join, and to prevent them from taking the course 100 times prior. That's a very good question. Quick answer is no, you cannot have a password before a course. But I need to think about it. I'm thinking that what you could do is you could potentially just add them into your account still as a user, so that way they have a password to enter your account. But then just make sure that you keep an eye on them and you deactivate them manually. Or if you have a premium or enterprise plan, you can do this, add an automation, for instance, and if I type here the word deactivation, number of hours after last login, for example. So if they don't do anything for the next 10 days, you can deactivate them. I need more information specifically about what you're looking for. So I don't want to give you, more advice on top of my head here. So again, success@talentlms.com, and we'll be able to help if you give us a bit more context about what's you're trying to achieve exactly. So we have a bit more time for questions. So I'm going to dive into a bit more. And let's say, Keith, can each branch automatically email a different training matrix report based on the branching groups within the branch? Absolutely, yes. So of course, when I go into a branch, I'm going to go to this branch, which is a fictional company, let's say. So yes, the training matrix. If I click on this training matrix, I only have it for things, groups, courses, people within my branch. So go here, schedule. You can schedule however you want, whichever recipient, and that will be only for that specific branch's users and courses, and of course, the related information. So yeah, as long as you are doing it within a branch, you will be able to just do it. Scott, can you show me how to set up a test at the end of completing a particular course, and then how to see the results of the test? I'm going to do it very quickly because we have dedicated resource for that, which I would love to share with you, and just take it on a step-by-step basis from your end, trying while watching. But very quickly, as an instructor here, let's go into a course, add a test. And then, of course, you can create different types of questions. You can give it a name. And then you can always just use questions that you might have used before. You can adjust the options there and then just go and save. And that will be part of the course. And of course, you can go ahead and create more and more and more. What about the reports? Of course, as an instructor, you can go to the reports within, and then you will be able to go to the test and of course just see how the users would have actually answered it, what would be the score, and how the questions had been distributed. I know that's not exactly a full demonstration. I didn't promise that. So ideally, let me share with you resources so that way you will be able to just get more. I can see you're talking about a new employee test. So I'm going to send you resources on how to create a test, and then we can discuss it from there. So another one, Christy, can you mass add levels to a group of courses, or do you have to go into each course and set a level? I'm going to test it together with you, just in case we can do it from the imports. I don't know yet. I'm going to test it because at the end of the day, we're learning together. It's not just a demo here. So let's troubleshoot pretty much. The quickest thing that I would suggest is to go to your import export. And I assume that you already have a couple of courses with some levels, right? And you want to massively add more. So go to export. This is my trick for everybody. And export the entire Excel. What would that do? Give you a complete image of your account right now. So that way you don't need to create any fields yourself. You don't need to create any columns in the Excel. You will be able to fill the gaps of what you already have. So let's see it together. I know it's a pain in the eyes right here now. But if I go to the courses, I can see the course, the code, the category, activation, start date, custom fields. No, we tried. If levels was a column right here, we would be able to add it, but it's not. So this is something that we cannot do. But again, this is how you would see if that would be the case from the image that you get on the export. Okay, so let's do a couple more questions as well. Let's see, anything else? Is there a way, Anna is asking, is there a way to randomly select questions from a pool of questions in the test? Yes, it is. So very quickly here as an instructor, I'm going to go to the course and I'm going to go to a quiz, just add a quiz right here, test, you name it, anything you want. And then you see randomized right here. So add a question of that type and select from all courses. You can have many more. Select which questions you would like to form that pool of questions. And I'm going to call this random one, for instance. So I'm going to pull one question out of those options and save. Now, I mentioned I'm going to pull one question, right? But here you can change and you can pull 3 questions out of that. So save. And let's see. We have now a pool of 20 questions, for example, and we're going to pull 3 of them. Start. And this is number 1, number 2, and of course, you would have number 3 coming up. So that's exactly how you can do it. I hope that helps. Okay, final one, and then I'm going to pass it back to Irene. So let's say Keith is asking again, just a clarification on your previous question. Can a single branch have different training matrix reports with different filters going to the same or different people? Yes, it can. So go into your branches, have a look at the training matrix report and set the filters. And when you export, you will get exactly what you're looking for. And you can, of course, add the same email address in the customer recipients fields as well. So yes, just give it a shot, but pretty much everything here is yes. Let's see another one as well. Nathan, is there a way to set reminders for courses to be updated by admins or instructors after a certain time frame to avoid outdated content? Great suggestion, not yet, but we're keeping an eye. And again, all of your suggestions go to the product team because like the lacquered style of questions, like the training matrix, these were features that you asked. So definitely rest assured that the product team always has an email from me after every webinar. So one more. Irene, I cannot stop. You have to stop me. Right. So an anonymous friend, I have created a full set of courses. Is there a way to move them to a branch so that I can create a separate branch? Yes, very quick and easy. But first of all, where are those courses? Are they in a list? Are they in a group? Are they in a category where they are? If they are in your list of courses, you can, of course, search here, for example, maybe by category or last updated, or you can filter here, you see, based on maybe they are in another branch of yours or maybe in a group. Let's say here. So you can hover, you can select mass actions, add to branch. I'm going to add them to the branch, vendor supplier, add them, and now my courses are added into the branch. So yes, that's a very quick yes from me. So these are all the questions, or as many as we could possibly fit behind the scenes and right here. There's a couple of questions that I'm afraid we won't have the time to answer right now, but please send us an email, success@talentlms.com.
So I'm taking over because we are almost out of time. And thank you all for joining today. There are a lot of questions. Anastasia was answering, I was answering, Thea was answering in the background. So yes, please send us an email to success@talentlms.com. So we can all get back to you. I know there are a lot of questions that maybe we didn't answer, but they're so interesting questions, and we definitely want to help you out with that. As mentioned at the beginning, part 1 of this masterclass has been posted on the chat. So please, we definitely encourage you to go and watch it. You will find a lot of interesting settings and tips and tricks that you can definitely use. And of course, we are really excited to see your comments. So the survey link will be posted on the chat. So you can share a feedback with us about this masterclass of this month. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Theo, for being an amazing co-host. Thank you, Anastasia, for answering all the questions in the background.
Thank you, Rini. Thanks, Anastasia. And of course, thanks everybody for being here and exploring Talent LMS with us.
And until we meet again, happy training.